Welcome back, everybody, to the Mind Poppers podcast with your host, Adam O Reilly, reporting live from the Mind Poppers basement. Before we get into the Mind Poppers this week, let's see how I'm doing for a change, okay? How am I doing? Last night, okay, my mom had some friends down to the gaff. They were up and drinking or whatever, and I was kind of sitting in my room alone. Not a whole lot going on. I was dry. And the lads, they were nowhere to be seen. They were nowhere around. So I was kind of slumming it alone. And when it's not necessarily that I want to be in with them, because God, I got better things to do. But at the same time, when you hear all these people having the crack, having the laugh, and there was a bit of a good music playing, for a change. Yes, I pandered in and out. I wasn't buzzing around them for the night. But yourself, if a family member has relations over, or if a sibling has friends over, you're not necessarily going to stay with them for the night. But what I like to do? If I'm in the mood, every 45 minutes, I pop my head into the room, with a little drink in hand, and you might step into the room for no more than 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, because you might walk in with a smart remark or a witty retort, and basically you go in every 45 minutes and you just sit down and you read everybody in the room. You get your laughs, you collect your laughs, and then you head back on out, So I kind of spent the night doing that, but I had one too many gins. I had a lot more witty retorts in me than expected. So I ended up spending quite some time with them, and of course every time I was going in to read the room, or, had one of witty retorts, I came in with a drink, with a gin, so now, today, my head is banging like a shithouse door in a gale, but I will pull through, because I've already been gone for a little run. Yes, he's on that fitness now. But I have to pull it together because I'm going out again tonight. I have a private event, if you will. It's not a private event, but we have a location that's able to open up for us privately. And it'll just be nice not to have to be moved around, after an hour, 45 minutes, and what have you. But what I want to do this week in terms of mind poppers, instead of going in deep into two big mind poppers, what I want to do is maybe do this week's episode with an array of mini mind poppers, appetizer mind poppers, if you will, just something to get us stimulated for the bank holiday. Now, something that has been, appealed to me, for as long as I can remember, is the movie franchise Scream. With Ghostface Killer, the iconic scene, opening scene, Drew Barrymore, the phone rings and she's like, hello? And, the voice on the end is like, what's your favorite scary movie? In an absolutely iconic franchise, one of the only slasher kind of franchises to ever make real good fucking movies, So obviously we had Scream 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 is the latest movie in the Scream franchise came out in 2011, where we saw the emergence of Emma Roberts. And you just know, okay? Especially in a movie franchise like Scream, where it's a slasher, killer on the loose, you just know that if Emma Roberts enters a movie like this, from the second before she opens her mouth, Emma Roberts did it, because she has made her name for herself of being of playing this evil character, as the bitch, the self-centered, and good for her, she's created this just iconic lane for herself, and we've seen kind of those two worlds cross with American Horror Story. You have Jessica Lange and Emma Roberts, two fantastic, actresses that just know how to play the bitch, and not in a stereotypical kind of the evil villainess kind of way, but the characters always have depth to them. So Emma Roberts is just amazing at what she does at playing the bitch. She does it so well. And it's crazy in comparison to her aunt. So Emma Roberts' aunt is Julia Roberts, again, an international treasure. And, the roles that they play really couldn't be more opposite. So anyway, of course, when you see Emma Roberts in Scream 4, which was the latest, and I guess we presumed the final installment in the franchise, which came out in 2011, of course, the minute you saw Emma Roberts, you knew she's going to be the killer. But news has started circulating. There've been rumours the last couple of weeks, but it was confirmed for real yesterday when Courtney Cox posted on her Instagram that she was going to be reprising. Oh my god, excuse me. Like I said, I was on it last night. Courtney Cox revealed on her Instagram yesterday that she was going to be bringing back the role of the iconic Weather Woman, Gale Weathers, in the Scream franchise. So we're getting a Scream 5. It's in, I guess, production, or we don't know how it's going to be delayed with COVID, what have you. Not only that is Courtney Cox coming back to reprising her role in Scream 5, but we also have David Arquette, who played kind of like the goofy police deputy Dewey in the Scream franchise. And that is actually where, obviously, you know, Courtney Cox and David Arquette, you know, were married for quite some time and they have kids together, what have you. But it was actually on the Scream franchise, you know, filming, you know, the first, I guess, first two movies, where they actually had fallen in love, they said, and that is where the two of them met and obviously went on to get married. But the two of them are both coming back to, you know, bring to life their previous roles in the Scream franchise. And I think that is cool. It's cool when you see, like, couples in Hollywood, and I mean couples in general, that, like, don't hold kind of, like, the negativity towards each other and just move on and can be friends and can work together. And, like, just because you break up with someone doesn't mean that it has to be all negative, whatever. So I really respect that. I'm into that. And, of course, we have the star of the show from the very beginning of the Scream franchise, which is Sydney, you know, played by Neve Campbell, who is also in talks at the moment to come back. And she, of course, she's definitely coming back if they're after bringing back the others. I just can't wait. I can't fucking wait. Like, Scream is just the iconic slasher franchise, you know? I didn't have a bad movie. Like, between Scream 1, 2, 3, and 4, there wasn't a single bad movie. You just saw, like, such an array of stars going through it. You know, you had Rose McGowan, who got slashed in it, Drew Barrymore, I can't remember the rest. I guess the Wayans brothers and whatever that dude's name is that played Shaggy in the live action Scooby-Doo film. But I can't wait. And when I saw that they were reprising the Scream franchise, what just came to my mind was, okay, because it is, we are living in an era of, you know, revivals, and reboots, which, you know, I have to say, for the most part, to me, I, you know, feel very positive towards it. I'm not talking about, like, a reboot of a movie that was made, like, you know, 3 years ago. Like, did I have any interest in seeing the all-female cast version of Ghostbusters? No, and I'll tell you why. Because I didn't want to see the all-male, you know, cast of Ghostbusters. I really couldn't give a fuck. Now, what I will say I was interested in was when they remade Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12 or Ocean's 9, whatever the fuck it was, you know, with, like, Sandra Bullock, Rihanna and all that, and Sarah Paulson. Yeah, I was totally into that. But it got me thinking when I saw that they were bringing back Scream for Scream 5, the Scary Movie franchise. Okay, so if you are, you know, if you're born in the 90s, okay, the Scary Movie franchise, I feel really shaped us as a generation. You know, there wasn't one group of friends who weren't out there watching Scary Movie 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Obviously, 5 was complete garbage. Absolutely had no business, you know, standing next to 1, 2, 3, 4. But, you know, it was so iconic. We saw Anna Faris at her best, you know, playing Sydney, which, you know, was actually you know, the majority of the first movie was a parody of the Scream franchise. You know, we had Ghostface Killer and all that. And, you know, it was just such iconic. Like, nobody was doing the kind of spoof parody movies like the Scream franchise were. Like, we had, like, the amazing cast. Like, we had the Wayans brothers. We had Anna Faris at her best. We had Regina Hall, you know, playing the iconic character of Brenda. You know, like, oh, that is some scary shit. You know, some stuff that is just ingrained on our minds. It truly was just one of the most iconic movie franchises of the, you know, started, I guess, I did it in the 90s. Or, no, I guess it didn't start in the 90s. But to go on to the early 2000s, what have you. And of course, obviously, it all went to shit. come Scary Movie 5, when we didn't see a resurgence of, the beloved characters in the franchise. Anna Faris had left, Regina Hall had left, pretty sure the Wayne brothers had left, I can't remember. Because if you remember in Scary Movie 5, we saw, we had characters like Charlie Sheen and Lindsay Lohan. And it just wasn't enough, because at the crux of all these spoof movies, what made Scary Movie 1 to 4 so successful was because it did have a really good cast. It had a really good, talented cast. So what I wanted to do was, seeing the Scream Scream was coming back. I was Googling on the net if we were going to see a Scary Movie 6. And obviously it could absolutely be done right, even though 5 was such a massive flop, flop in the box office as well. I think it made like 100 million less than Scary Movie 4 did. So obviously everyone had lost interest in it. All our favourite characters had left the franchise. But if they were to bring back the franchise and, bring it back with Regina Hall, who played Brenda, bring it back with Anna Faris, who played Sydney, bring it back with the Wayne brothers, oh my God, then we'd have perfection, Enough time has passed for all the movies that they could spoof now. It would be amazing. So I was Googling it because I wanted to see, because like I said, Scream and Scary Movie franchises were just so played such an iconic role, I feel like, for a lot of us growing up. So I was Googling anyway to see what were the possibilities. Was there anything in the works with Scary Movie 6 and the potential for that? As it turns out, Scary Movie was owned by... So the head of the production company that owns the Scary Movie franchise, was actually Harvey Weinstein, who, of course, as we know, is currently serving like a 28 sentence in prison for sexual harassment. So another production company came in and I guess took over, that after, they kind of parted ways with Harvey Weinstein or whatever. It actually turns out that the new production company that now I guess owns the rights to the Scary Movie franchise, which was formerly Harvey Weinstein's production company, is now actually also owned by... owns as well the Scream franchise. So those will be the people who will be, running this Scream 5, I didn't know that they were connected like that. So from this iconic news, because like I said, Scream 5, this means a lot to me. Like Scream 4, 2011, I don't know if it was my 18th birthday or whatever, but for my birthday, me and all the lads went to see Scream 4. It was just that iconic to me. It always have been. But in honor of one of my favorite, if not my favorite movie franchise coming back, which by the by, obviously production at the minute it's delayed with COVID, obviously. But in honor of that, what I wanted to do was take a BuzzFeed quiz. Okay, get into it. BuzzFeed quiz on whether or not I would survive a horror film. Personally, I think that I absolutely would survive a horror film. Or I might be, that person who survives to the very end and throws his life away, puts his life on the line to save somebody else, selfless. I am very selfless. So that could be how I would end in a horror movie. Definitely wouldn't be the person who died first. I'm sorry. What a waste. What a waste if I was killed off first in a horror film, I just feel like it would dampen the mood. There's a lot of other filler bitches, filler people who could die before me. Even in my own friend group, okay? I would like to think that if this happened to us, we're locked in a mansion or whatever, in the middle of nowhere, and there's a killer on the loose picking us off one by one, I just feel like it would be a real bummer to the group if I was the friend that got killed first. And I know a lot of people in my group would probably disagree, but I just feel like, oh, what a waste. Oh, what a waste that you guys have to go through the rest of this without me, without my commentary, what have you. But let's get into it. Let's see once and for all if I would survive a horror movie. You hear a strange sound outside. What do you do? Check it out? Ask your neighbour to check it out. Laugh it off. Ignore it. If I hear something outside, yes, I'm going to be freaked for sure. you know, because I was always a paranoid kid. Like, I remember being like 15, 16 years old, being in the house by myself, my parents away. And like I used to get so paranoid, you know, that if like someone was in the house or if I heard a noise or whatever, like I used to sleep if I was in the house by myself with like a butcher knife that I got from the kitchen under my pillow. And if like I heard a noise downstairs, I would walk. Like I was like the freak. Oh my god, like what were the antidepressants doing to my head? You know, all those years ago, were me like walking around the house with a butcher knife. You know, like what am I going to do? I don't even eat meat. You know, never mind slash a bitch. But I digress. Okay, I would say I would check it out. You know, I'm not necessarily like walking down to the woods to see what the fucking noise was, but will I peek my head out, you know, the blinds? Sure. So I'll check out the sound. The phone rings, you answer it, but there's only ominous breathing on the other line. What do you say? Very funny. Stop prank calling me or I'm calling the police. Listen, this isn't very funny. I've got a gun and I'm not and I'm not afraid to use it. Nope, I've seen this movie way too many times. I hang up immediately and call the police. Okay, what I would say is, nope, I've seen this movie way too many times. Okay, I'm going for that one. Michael Myers has escaped the containment facility in your town. What precautions do you take? What is Michael Myers doing in Cove? You know? Unless he's like a big Titanic buff. Lock every door and window. Go to a friend's house. Throw a party. Hide. For sure, going to lock every door and window. I think that's an easy one. You live on Elm Street and your best friend across the street just died. Oh. The other day in their sleep. Okay, well, if they had to go anyway. All the police found were mysterious claw marks. It's late at night and you're getting sleepy. What do? Oh, take a quick power nap. Chug a Red Bull. Take a warm bath. Do some research on this Freddy Krueger person your best friend mentioned right before dying. 100% I'm doing the research. 100%. If I find the opportunity where some bitch is getting killed in their sleep, and I find the opportunity to like throw myself into the star of the role of this like murder mystery, like tearing up my town, yes, I'm going to do the research. Okay. You're a counsellor at Camp Crystal Lake, and all of your cabin mates have gone missing in the middle of the night. What weapon do you bring with you to check on them? Knife, hammer, shovel. Why would I bring a weapon? My friends are probably playing a prank. I'm definitely not bringing the shovel. Like, by the time it would take me to even lift the shovel that high off the ground, I know I'd be whacked. I'd be gone. I'm not doing the hammer. I'm just not doing the hammer to the skull thing. No. I'd just do the knife 100%. You and your friends find a Ouija board in your attic. What do? Convince your friends to play it. Watch your friends play it, but don't go anywhere near it. Just leave it where it is. Don't touch it. Or burn it. 100% I'm convincing your friends to play it. I'm convincing the lads to do the Ouija board with me. I have done Ouija boards before, you know, with some weird things happening, some stories that I might share at another podcast. But convince my friends to play it. In a creepy antique store, you find a monkey paw that will grant you that will grant you 3 wishes. How do you proceed? Immediately make my 3 wishes. Make 2 wishes and then hide it where no one will ever find it, not even myself. Give it to someone that kind of sucks and let them do what they will with it. I've heard stories about those things, so I don't make any wishes. Of course, look, we're all going to say, you've heard stories, the wishes never end well. Now, if someone is giving me, you know, a rotten monkey claw and telling me that it has the power to grant me 3 wishes, you know, then trust and believe I'm going to, you know, ignore everything I've seen in pop culture about making wishes, and 100% I am going to immediately make my 3 wishes. Okay. Your friend invites you and some friends to their cabin for the weekend. While there, you find an old book in the basement with some weird words in it. What do? Read them out loud because it'll freak everybody out. I let my friend read it out loud even though I'm a little nervous. Read it out loud without telling anyone, and we all get mad at them because why would you do that? I convince everyone to just leave it alone. We see the thing is, of course, when you find like a spooky book, spooky old occult spell book, of course you don't really want to read the spell first, the incantation first, because you don't know really what's going to happen. This spell book is probably going to be in Latin, so I'm probably not going to know what it means. But then again, the thing for me would be like, right, am I letting my friend, am I going to let Kate, one of my friends, read the spell book and let her potentially die? For sure. I mean, best case scenario, Kate reads the spell book and dies. But, on the flip side of that, what happens if Kate reads the spell book and, gets all these amazing powers? How fucking terrible would I feel then that Kate is alive, not only alive, but flourishing, with the magical powers. So I think I would take the chance and read it out loud because it would freak everybody out. You move into a new house and your daughter starts talking to the TV. When you ask her about it, she says, "They're here." How do you respond? I don't even need to look at these. Like, I'm going back, I'm getting the shovel from the previous question, and I'm going to have one less daughter. We're getting out of here right now. Laugh nervously. That's nice, sweetie. Who's here, Carol Ann? You know what? Okay, so a little bitch talking to the TV. For me, yes, why that would be absolutely terrifying. I'm going to need a little more. I'm not leaving my house behind, whatever mansion I end up in, because I'm scared. I'm not going to run at first sight, believe it or not, while I may be a bit of a pussy, and I mean that in the most empowering way, while I may be a bit of a pussy, I'm also tough. I'm not going to run at that. This is my house, to quote the great Peg Mitchell, this is my pub. So I would say, who's there, Carol Ann? Okay, I think this is the last question. There's this tape going around, rumoured to kill you 7 days after watching it. A mysterious tape shows up in your house. What do you do? Throw out the thing ASAP. You hide it away, but then it randomly starts playing on your TV anyway. Watch it. What's a tape? Oh, you see, none of these options are really, popping for me. Like, I guess my preferred option in this case, with the mysterious tape that's killing people, is you let a friend watch it, and that would be just a really good story for the podcast, what happens to my friend, and have them describe it to me rather than having to watch it myself. But then again, curiosity killed the cat, and I am quite a curious little kitten, I am a very inquisitive person. But I know, no, I couldn't possibly watch it. So I'm going to say I'd throw the thing out ASAP. Okay, they're calibrating my results, you guys. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Okay, the results are in. You're the lone survivor. It looks like you're the last one standing. You were able to come out alive despite the horrors you faced. Although your friends didn't make it, you were glad the nightmare is over. ... Or is it? Best possible news ever, okay? All my friends are dead, okay? And I do feel bad for them. But in order to survive a horror movie, they needed to die. So I could be the lone survivor. So I do thank them for their sacrifice. Absolutely. And the whole thing at the end, the whole ... Or is it? You know what that means? It means that the bitch is getting a sequel. I did so well in surviving whatever massacre had bestowed me and my friends. The killer ain't done with me, The killer ain't done with me. I got another stalker, I guess. And the thing is as well, is like, you're the lone survivor, because of course, look, best case scenario, like, we want everyone to survive in these situations, me and my friends, whatever kind of massacre we're in. Of course I want everyone to survive, absolutely. But, imagine, like, if, like, half the group, like, got whacked, got murdered, got slashed, and like 6 of us made it back alive, Where's the drama in that, And as well as, like, Adam O Reilly, lone survivor, sits down with RSVP, Intel all, So I wouldn't need, like 5 of my friends surviving the massacre and just taking away from, because it's already been a traumatic time, so I should at least be able to secure a bag after it for sure. But there you have it, you guys. And look, I have to say, like I said before I even did this test, I knew I'd survive. If you want to take this test and find out if you survived, it's a BuzzFeed test. You can just drop me a message on Instagram and we'll see if you're a survivor too. So moving on from that, but still staying in the realm of television, a mind popper for me, a personal mind popper for me this week was the Kardashians. I know. The whole Kim and Kanye thing, I'm over it. I have said from day dot that Kim Kardashian should divorce Kanye West and get as far away from him as possible. And I know that now there's going to be the whole scrutiny thing about is it right to leave your partner, who's clearly going through mental issues or what have you. Kanye's talked openly about his bipolar disorder, what have you. And yes, look, we are all afflicted in some caliber or another with mental illness. There's just no way that you are a living, breathing person in this world that we live in right now at this time, where you're not carrying some weight of the world, in the back of your mind or what have you. The thing for me is, yes, having bipolar disorder, whatever, while that is a struggle and is something, that I'm sure it's a journey. But then again, we can't, dismiss all Kanye West's asshole attitude, because you just know, bipolar or not bipolar, Kanye West is a dickhead. There's just no two ways about it. Kanye West is a dickhead. Maybe a very talented rapper and musician at times. Not all the time. Not everything that he does is a smash. But you just know he's a dickhead. And I think the whole thing for Kim Kardashian in regards to, staying with Kanye West or whatever, obviously there's going to be public scrutiny, be like, if she was to leave now, it'd be like, oh, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian leaves Kanye West, when he most needs her, whatever. But the same thing, I think one of the main driving forces keeping Kim and Kanye together, all these years and having the family and all that, is the amount of public scrutiny Kim Kardashian went under, when she was married, I think it was her second marriage to Chris Humphries, which obviously ended, what was it? 62 days, 61 days, something like that. And of course they made this big deal about it on the show. Obviously she had the wedding televised or whatever. It was a big deal on the E! Network. And of course then they got divorced 61, 62 days later. And she was the laughing stock, It brought into question her authenticity, as a person. Was it all fake? Was it not? Personally, I don't believe that it was fake at all. The Kardashians are never short of a storyline. And I think that kind of probably hurt Kim a lot, hurt her ego a lot. And I think when she settled with Kanye West or whatever, she really wanted to make this one stick, make this one work, whether she was super happy throughout the duration of this marriage or not, I don't know. But do I see, is it Splitsville for Kim Ye? I would imagine so in the next couple of months. I would imagine it definitely is. Unless the both of them are happy and I'm just wrong, possibly, what have you. But the mind popper for me this week in regards to the Kardashians was, I think a lot of us watch the Kardashians, a lot of people still watch the Kardashians religiously, but a lot of us, watched the first couple of seasons or whatever, it was new, obviously there was a lot of hype about the show, coming off of the sex tape and what was next. But I kind of haven't watched the Kardashians. I haven't sat down and watched a season of the Kardashians in years, because it's kind of sitting down, hearing the same old shit. It had lost its appeal to me a long time ago. But the thing was, I'd pop in and watch the odd episode every now and again if something major had gone on. Like I talked about before with Kim, getting robbed in Paris, held at gunpoint, made to sit in the bath, told if you open your mouth, you're never going to see your kids again. All that, which 100% I believe is real. I don't think that was a work of fiction. I don't think that was Kris Jenner pulling the strings. I think that was even above something that Kris Jenner could orchestrate. So I'd pop in and, oh my God, that episode, you guys, looking at the devastation of the Kardashian family after the Paris robbery. Oh my God, the editing in that was just sublime. It was incredible. like when I sat down watching that episode, for the whole duration, I just remember being like, oh my God. I feel like, because the intensity of it was just done brilliantly. And it carried like the heaviness, intensity of like I was sitting down and watching like a 9/11 documentary for the first time, you know? Incredible. So what I said was, I was like, look, a lot of my shows are ending right now, a lot of the shows that I'm keeping up with. So I was like, look, let me sit down and I'll watch the new season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. You know, even though I haven't watched it in years, let me sit down and watch the new season. And it didn't disappoint. It didn't disappoint right from the very beginning. Like the producers know that we need to be hooked right from episode 1 of, I think it was like season 19. And it was the iconic Kim Kardashian, you know, versus the Bad Girls Club, Kim Kardashian versus Kourtney Kardashian. And the two of them just really go at it and thump the fucking heads off each other, which was just really great to see. Because we live in a civilized society, and, you know, around these parts, you know, we're not doing the public stonings, the public hangings, the lashes, the whips. You know, we're not doing that. Now, not to say that, you know, we're not barbarians in other ways. We are, you know, we do all those things, but in ways that are kind of hidden, you know? People are still being just as much suppressed in the Western world, you know, in other places, or at least maybe not suppressed is the right word, but controlled. So it was good to see the two of them really just beating the shit out of each other, you know, just taking fucking chunks out of each other. Because, of course, we can't, you know, line them up and give them a good old lashing, like a public lashing, you know, which they've definitely warranted, you know. So it was really good to see the two of them take chunks out of each other. But what I found about watching this new season of the Kardashians was, you know what, it was really fucking funny, you know. A clip that I'm going to play for you now, which, you know, I had a buzz when I was watching this, you know, so I was on one and I was just pissing myself laughing. But one of the, I guess, the story arcs of this season is Kris Jenner is, you know, with the younger boyfriend Corey, and I guess Kris Jenner is at a time in her life, you know, I guess she's in her 60s, but she's in a time in her life where she's with this new younger man, and her sex drive is at an all-time high. So, you know, they're fucking like rabbits. So the scene, you know, that I'm going to play for you, the clip, you know, we have Chloe and Kendall sitting down waiting in a, like a public kind of cafe restaurant waiting on Kris to join them. They're going to like do lunch or whatever. And Kris walks in and has a couple of things to say about, you know, her sex life, and the girls are cringing, and I just thought it was a masterpiece.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late.
Look how cute you look.
Thank you. I have lipstick all over my face.
No, why?
Oh, we were just having a little makeup session in the car. Is that too much?
Why?
Is my shirt on right?
Why would your shirt not be on right?
Just one of those days.
Why is it Corey here? I thought he was coming to lunch.
Corey had to go home and sleep because we were up all night. You know how that goes.
I love our dynamic with our mom, and I would not change it for the world. But does my mom overshare? I mean, she's talking about her lipstick being smeared, her mojo, just some things. Thank you so much.
Wow.
I'm gonna bring this for you.
Wow.
Tiramisu? I heard it was the dessert of lovers.
I don't know about that one.
What? Thank
Enjoy
you.
it, okay?
I could rub this all over my body.
Ew. Why would you want to?
Trust me.
Women go through different stages in life, and I'm going through one of those stages where I cannot get enough of my boyfriend.
You just got to get it in when you can.
Couldn't be more opposite right now. And it's a little unfair that I'm dating and having the time of my life, and Chloe's not.
You should taste this, guys. This is like a sex dessert.
Stop saying sex like that.
Why? It's not a dirty word. Sex!
Mom, stop.
Sex! Oh, sorry. I wanted some sex. I Stop thinking about sex.
Oh, you know what? I have to say it's refreshing because the Kardashians now, not only are they like, they of course they're focusing on the drama and the press and all that, but they know to keep the show 19 seasons in, they know they have to bring the comedy, the humor and stuff to keep everybody engaged. And I have to say the season was very funny. And what makes it successful when a reality show is on 19 seasons, or when you look at the Real Housewives, you know, there comes to a certain point where, you know, people are breaking the fourth wall. So they're acknowledging the cameras, they're acknowledging, you know, that they're filming and all that. And it just kind of makes it that bit more real, if you get me. Because don't get me wrong, like the key to a successful reality show is, yes, you do have this element of scripted scenes. You do have that. But you also have a lot of, you know, just realness going on, you know, and you have to have that mix. Like it's not 100% scripted. I tell you now, the Kardashians is not 100% scripted. Otherwise we just still wouldn't be engaged. But I just thought, oh my God, when I turned it on and seeing that now Kris Jenner is at a point in her life where she is like a pig and shit, like a dog with two Mickeys, that finally, for the first time in her life, Kris Jenner is, you know, getting her back blown out more than any of her kids are, you know? And I just, I'm happy for her. You know, I have to say that I'm happy for her. And, you know, in this season as well, you see a lot of, like Kourtney Kardashian really kind of going in a bad mental place. And, you know, her kind of story arc for the whole season is that she wants to stop filming. She doesn't want to do the show anymore. Like, she's there crying in scenes, being like, I don't want to do fucking glam, you guys. And Khloe's like, well, don't do glam. You don't have to do glam. And Kourtney's like, well, I'm not fucking filming without fucking glam, Khloe. You know? So you do see in this season, the Kardashians really kind of starting to break down, I guess, you know, which we do love. We do love because they have this amassed this gross amount of wealth. So, you know, if we can see them at their lows, you know, we'll take that. We will take that because we do need to be reminded that life can still be pretty shitty, no matter if you're a broke ass bitch or a billionaire, you know? Now, some of it, like I said, is obviously scripted. It's ridiculous. Like, I remember seeing, I think Kim and Khloe are sitting down, you know, having coffee or what have you, and they get a phone call, you know, from, I guess, a producer or whatever, being like, oh, Corey, which is Kris Jenner's boyfriend. Oh, Corey was spotted, like, checking into this hotel with a redhead. So, of course, the two girls, like, go over, you know, with the camera crew, expecting, you know, to bust Corey cheating on Kris or whatever. And he opens the hotel door and he's like, you guys can't come in, you can't come in. So they run in anyway into the bedroom, and you get, like, the camera shows like a fleeting glimpse of, like, this redhead like running around the hotel room, and, like, they don't show the face. So of course it's a big ass hotel room, like, so of course the two girls, Kim and Khloe, like, go in pursuit of, you know, Corey's mistress, you know, like, who's running around, like, the kitchen and is, like, hiding behind, like, cabinets and whatever. And of course at the end, you know, they're like, we've got you. And of course it's fucking Kris Jenner in a long red wig, or long red Party City wig. Which of course is so staged, absolutely, you know, adding into the story arc of Kris Jenner, just fucking like a rabbit. But I have to say, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this season when you're not taking it too seriously. So moving on to a more freaky mind popper. Yes, our favorite kind of mind popper. So I was scrolling through Twitter the other day, and I came across a post by a lady, and she was like, the caption was like, oh, I guess, you know, I'm an official New Yorker now. And she kind of went on to tell the story that she lifted up her toilet bowl and that there was a drowned rat laying in the toilet. Obviously had come up through the piping from the sewers. Because the thing is, you know, with toilets, there's actually only a small amount of water in the toilet. It kind of, that S kind of bend in the piping. The rest of the pipes remain dry. So anyway, this girl, you know, had found the rat in her toilet. It obviously come up underground through the piping and was in her apartment through the toilet, and it obviously had drowned. So it got me thinking, you know, what animals, you know, could we potentially, you know, have common for our, You know, our penises, our coochies, our bussies, our butts, you know, our booty holes. And if it's a problem here in Ireland, you know, because we hear about all of the exotic animals, and it's like, oh, it's never Ireland, is it? You know, that's like, we may have the rain, but we don't have to deal with these exotic animals. Well, keep listening. So I wanted to Google. I want to find out if other people, you know, have these experiences. So yes, okay. A man in Thailand got a shock when he went to the toilet and a python sank its teeth into his penis. Okay. So this guy's name was Adaporn Boon Makchui. Definitely murdered the surname, but I'll continue. So this guy, Adaporn, he encountered a 3-meter or a 10-foot python, which, you know, just happened upon his home in the east of Bangkok. He was getting ready for work one morning, and he says, in quotes, "I felt as though my penis had been severed. The snake was yanking very hard." And he told that to the Bangkok Post. And this is actually a quite a common occurrence in Australia as well, with the snakes coming up through the piping, coming up through the plumbing and into some poor bitch's toilet. So stories of snakes navigating domestic plumbing are in fact quite common, according to Jeff Jacobs at Queensland's Wildlife Solutions in Australia, who has run a snake catching business in Brisbane for the last 2 decades. So he says that the snakes just follow the trail of the rats. All over the world, rats go down in sewers and the snakes go in there after them, and from there they can obviously find your bathroom. Now, it's not like super common. It's not like there's a snake toilet epidemic going on in parts of the world. But he did say that he gets called out at least 4 or 5 times a year to get snakes out of toilets. Which, of course, it's just couldn't be a good time for anybody. But obviously, look, in Ireland, we're safe from snakes for sure. You know, at least for now, okay? But, God, we got a rat problem, you know? The whole rats in this town, because there are a lot of them. But apparently there was a warning put out in Ireland, you know, to be cautious of this. One woman wrote that for some reason, so she's a sleep bride. This is the girl from West London. Tansy Ackett is her name. So it was probably about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I was in bed. I heard splashing noises, quite loud splashing noises, like something was in the bath. For some reason, I had it in my head that there was a frog in the bath. I think that was just because I was half asleep. So I stumbled into the bathroom and realised it wasn't a frog in the bath, but a rat splashing around in the loo. The seat was down, so I couldn't get out, but I was scrabbling around. So I slammed the lid down in fear and I flushed the loo, and he flushed away. So she went back to bed, but an hour later the splashing started again. So I flushed him away again. So in the morning, she opened up the cupboards under her sink, I guess, and saw that there had been like rats all over, having rats all over the place, and they had been gaining access through her apartment through the plumbing. So, do we have anything to fear in Ireland? Unfortunately, yes, we do. So, especially people in County Cork in the Republic of Ireland were warned to check their toilets in April after an elderly man was bitten on the bottom by a rat. A local councillor advised people to keep their toilet seats down when not in use and to watch their posteriors, which is reported in the Cork Evening Echo. So you have to remember, guys, that none of us are safe. We all got a toilet, unless some of y'all are shitting in an outhouse, you know, maybe out in the sticks. But for everyone else, like, I'm sure you got a toilet. I'm sure a lot of us, you know, some of us have more than one toilet in the house, you know. So you have to remember that every time you were sitting down to take a whiz or a shit, excuse my French, that there is a chance every time you sit down in a toilet, and I want to get you to get this into your head, that every time you sit down on the toilet, when you think you are safe, when you are at your most vulnerable, at any point in time, a rat could be making its way up the pipes. It could be making its way up the pipes right now and going to eat your coochie, you know? They're going to eat your coochie from inside out. Who knows, you know? So I guess the moral of this story is keep the toilet seat down for everybody. But in this article, it actually goes on to say, and this is actually quite interesting, but quite terrifying, and adds, I guess, to the reason why I will never, ever move to Australia. Dangerous spiders are another toilet hazard in some countries. Although he only deals with snakes, Jacob says that the funnel webs can be a particular problem in Australia. Not just dropping into the bowl from above, but also approaching from beneath. Okay, this is where it gets very interesting. They can go either way, he says. Many spiders can travel along underwater. While funnel webs can't swim, they can stay alive in water for up to 30 hours. They can trap a small bubble of air in hairs around the abdomen, which aids both breathing and floating. Isn't that fucking fascinating? That these big ass spiders, alright, when you think in the water you have enough to worry about, especially in Australia, but these spiders that can survive for up to 30 hours in the water. And then it's just fascinating how the hairs in their body can like hold on to these little air bubbles that can, you know, help them fucking float along, but also to breathe. That, like, animals are incredible. Animals are incredible as much as I hate spiders. And, you know, like, guys, I'm not afraid to say it. I'm an arachnophobe. That to me is just, it's crazy. But, you know, like I said, you know, the one thing about Ireland is, like, we may have the shitty weather, but, you know, in terms of ecosystem and animals, you know, we're relatively safe. Or are we? So, as I was saying, you know, don't count your lucky stars yet in terms of the exotic animals in Ireland. And this one is truly terrifying, you guys, and very relevant to everybody in Ireland. But the thing is, okay, obviously, you know, global warming is a thing. You know, our planet, you know, our temperatures are rising, you know, to a point which is, you know, unless we start doing something now, we should have been doing something a long, long time ago. And we're still not doing it. But obviously the global temperature is rising. It's going to change the world, you know, in unprecedented ways. Like, we really don't know what, you know, planet Earth looks like just yet, you know, if we continue down the path that we're going. But the whole thing is, I guess, is with these rising temperatures, you know, you're going to create spaces where these, I guess, once exotic animals, you know, were before they couldn't survive in Ireland, but now, you know, we're with the temperature rising and with global warming, you know, now spaces like this, or places in Ireland, are slowly becoming, you know, habitable to these once regarded exotic creatures, okay? So if that ain't, you know, reason enough to start recycling and whatever, do it now and buy sustainably. Again, like I said, there's only so much we can do as we the people. You know, we really need to riot and take down the big corporations, because those really are the only people that have any power to change the course of where the planet is going. So, I was reading through some articles, okay? And I'll give you just the heading. It looks like some of the most dangerous sharks could be heading towards Ireland. Ooh, you know, like, we don't have enough to worry about, but sharks, not sharks. The good thing about, like, watching a shark, because, I mean, look, you go into the water in Ireland, of course you're going to be freaked as a shark. But, like, there's a place at the back of your mind that tells you, all right, well, look, probably not going to be a vicious man-eating shark, you know, in Ireland. You're you know, a lot safer than you would be in, say, like, Australia or what have you, in, you know, South Africa. But you guys, things are changing. I actually remember, now I live in Cove in County Cork, and Cove is, you know, the second biggest natural harbour in the world, second to Sydney. And I remember, it was definitely over a decade ago, but, like, all the townspeople, because it's an island, okay, get into it, I'm an islander, because I remember, like, everyone, like, on the roads, like, looking out into the harbour, because, like, wherever you are in Cove, like, you can usually see the water. I remember everyone at the roads, like, getting out of their cars and what have you, and, like, going up and looking over the walls, like, into the ocean. And what had actually was going on was we had orca whales, killer whales, like a big pod of orca whales, you know, just chilling out, going through the harbour. You know, okay, like, what can't Cove do? We have killer whales. But I think it was, like, a real shock to everybody in Cove. I'm like, fuck, You know, creatures that you normally see on like the Discovery Channel or some shit with David Attenborough. You know, but you don't see them in your own neighborhood. But yeah, so I remember that rocked Cove for a long time. We're still kind of healing from it, if I'm being honest. So, okay, let's get into this. So, the increased temperature of Irish water could lead to serious increase in the amount of sharks we play host to. And yes, we do have, I think we have maybe like, I want to say 30, between 20 and 30 different types of shark species, you know, in Irish waters, you know, which are all fairly docile, non-aggressive creatures. Like we have like the basking shark, the nursing shark. Not even sure if those bitches got teeth, you know, like what you going to do? Gum me to death? So relatively we've been in an okay place, but like I said, with global warming and with an increasing, you know, global temperature, then, you know, what comes with that is our oceans also warming up to that. So according to the Irish Sun, okay, so, you know, we'll bite, you know, but we'll be skeptical, but we'll bite. So according to the Irish Sun, climate change will lead to sharks migrating to Ireland. There's just no two ways about it. And the warmer the weather gets, the more sharks we'll have in our water. It was actually interesting. A guy called Dr. Ken Collins from the Southampton University was talking to the Irish Sun, and he said, you get great whites off the coast of South Africa, where the water is colder than here, and I see no reason why we should not have them in our waters. It would not take much of a change in the water temperature from climate change, maybe less than 1 degree for them to come here. Okay, so while you're all celebrating like our hot summers and everyone's like, oh, maybe global warming isn't such a bad thing, just keep in mind that this professor estimates that it would take no more than a single degree in Irish temperature waters, you know, a rise by 1 degree, for us to have great fucking whites. Every time you go to the fucking beach, you just won't know. Like a great white, and I am telling you, like, can you imagine, you guys, like mark this in your minds now, because if obviously temperature is going to rise like it, you know, it is, and because we're not doing anything to stop it right now, like imagine the first report of the first great white sighting, the great white shark sighting in Ireland. Chilling. You'll wish that it was, all you had to worry about was rats coming up and gnawing on your coochie, you know? Great fucking whites? We can't have like 300 days of rain a year and also have to worry about great whites. So what parts of Ireland would be, you know, most, I guess, susceptible or, you know, an accommodating host to these behemoth creatures? Well, the professor reckons that Cork, County Cork, okay, my hometown, and Wexford, which, you know, let them have sharks, you know, Wexford, what have they done for anybody except for, well, I mean, the strawberries, okay, I take it back. So he reckons that Cork and Wexford would be the first to experience the first great whites coming to Ireland due to their massive seal population, because seals are just like hamburgers to sharks, like fat, juicy and meaty. But in the last couple of years, we have seen a lot more movement from sharks that we would previously only see in like the Mediterranean, like the bull shark or the hammerhead shark, okay, the blue shark, which have been known to be, you know, can be aggressive and could kill and, you know, have the teeth, you know. These sharks have already been found in our waters. So if you're under some delusion that we don't have anything to fear in the deep blue in Ireland, you're wrong. And it's only getting worse if we don't do something about global warming. Okay, yes, of course, we won't have a habitable planet in a couple of years. But also, great whites. Just think of like all the times you go to your local strand or you go swimming in the summer, you know, maybe you're like, you go to one of these like holiday places in Ireland that do like all the, like the rafting and the waterboarding. No, that's torture. Again, I'm not a big water like sports enthusiast, but you know, there could come a time very soon, if not already, where we're going to have great white sharks wandering our waters. Okay, so a lot in this episode had to do with the unknown coming from below, from the deep blue, whether it's rats, snakes, or tarantulas climbing up your shitter and, you know, just going to town, eating some ass, or now this potential where we know we already have now dangerous sharks in Irish waters, but the fact that we have, you know, almost the perfect temperature for great whites right now in Ireland, and we have an abundance of the seal population, so they will have a habitable ocean with the food necessary for them to thrive. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. Anyway, that is it from me in this week's episode of the Mind Poppers podcast. If you enjoyed, make sure you are subscribed so you get the episode straight away. Make sure you leave a rating. I will be back next time with a whole plateau of Mind Poppers. Until next time, stay woke. Actually, let me finish on this quote. A quote by Peppa Pig. If you eat bacon, it might be my pussy. Stay woke.